for the last section of this webinar.
Yes, thank you very much, Sebastian, and thanks to all the board members of ESU and all the other activists who expressed their solidarity. I guess this is really, really important in order to have this network of solidarity to broaden as much as possible. And that brings me exactly to the last part of this webinar, which is the aim to find lever arms to put maximal pressure on the Islamic Republic regime. So in order to avoid as much as possible the ongoing crackdown getting worse, the death penalties that have been denounced by many of us. And among those lever arms, we as academics have some handles which are our network, academic networks, and people are getting organized in order to think of possible sanctions against members of the institutions in Iran, whether they are judicial, political, media, academics, who are accompanying this crackdown and who are behind this these crimes. And so one of the initiatives which came out very early is called Faculty for Women Life Freedom. And there are many people who have signed on this initiative. And I invite once again Shahrzad Mojab, who is part of this initiative, and so she can explain to us quickly the aims and the future steps, if possible. Shahrzad, please.
Thank you very much. I'm so moved by all the messages of solidarities, deeply political, passionate, and coming from the place of political commitment for a better world. I want to mention two things about the Faculty for Women Life Freedom. As you heard, the history of the student movement in Iran, or again, I repeat, throughout the Middle East, is a very unknown history. And there is a reason for that. The reason is that most of the movement is rooted in radical left and progressive ideas, and most of the students who often get involved come from that point of view, that they want to change the totality of not only the educational system, but the educational system that it is always suppressed and by the authoritarian dictatorial regimes. So I think that one of the outcomes of this recent months in Iran is that how less known the radicalism of 70 years long, almost 70 years long radicalism of a student movement is known to a generation after me and also to the world. So I think that no matter the result of what is going on, it's unpredictable, but I stand and stunned with hope and fear. The work that we are doing should be continued. And I think that this is why that the hope of this group, Faculty for Women Life Freedom, is to bring us together, to organize teachings, to inform and deepen our understanding and analysis of what is going on in Iran. The second point that I want to make is that when I'm talking about deepening our analysis, it means that even our messages of solidarities need to deepen in the sense that the solidarity that we are talking about is related to the condition of the world. What is happening in Iran is not separated to the rise of authoritarian fascism in Europe. It's not separated from the neoliberal privatization of higher education, that it is suppression of knowledge, it is suppression of academic freedom. And this is also very important point, that we are not only stand in solidarity with the students and faculty members in Iran, we stand in solidarity with them because they are leading a revolution that has global reach. And I think that this is where we all need to come together. And I really hope that Faculty for Women Life Freedom will be another space and another group that will open up these type of conversations on our academic institutions and use the momentum of the revolutionary momentum in Iran to push back on their own institutions, to push back on the neoliberalism, to push back on the rise of racism, xenophobia, and fascism throughout the world, to push back on the idea of the disciplining and punishing of women's bodies through ban on abortion that it is happening in Europe and in the US, to push back on the relationship between fundamentalism and imperialism. And then most importantly, the tying point of all of this is this very aggressive capitalist mode of relations that it is happening. This means for me the deepening of our solidarity. And I think that this is the moment that we all need to bring back our discussion and conversations on our campuses in order to really reach that point of truly a global solidarity of all the revolutionary movements.
All right. Thank you very much, Charlotte, for your words, which weigh a lot, I mean, and mean a lot. And we are here indeed to envisage next actions as well. And we have, of course, goals which are short-term, mid-term, and long-term. And so if you let me, I switch to Shora for a short-term but also important action, which is to launch a petition to ask for freedom of prisoners in Iran. This is one of the points that we wanted to discuss with our people here. So Shora, please, if you want to say a few words on this.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Yes, maybe I'm thinking of 3 points here that can be raised and discussed, maybe we can circulate the ideas further through a mailing list or, updating people who are interested in this. But the one thing is indeed to identify and promote petitions in support of the liberation of all political prisoners, and also against the execution, against executions and against the execution that is the first sentences that have come, because the first execution sentence have been pronounced against people arrested in regards to the protest movements, and petitions are circulating. So maybe one first thing, and I'm thinking also about the importance of the that a few weeks ago, Evin prison has burned. so Evin prison, where many prisoners and also political prisoners throughout the countries are imprisoned, has burned, and we don't know why and how, and the outcome of this for the safety of prisoners. And there are many prisoners whom we don't know where they are located now. So there is in this situation, it's very important to raise awareness and to kind of put pressure. And the other thing is that the demand for the liberation of political prisoners in the, if we think about the 1979 revolution in Iran, the demand for the liberation of political prisoners was an important moment in the formation of widespread nation solidarity, and an important moment in the struggle. So both as an aim and also as a tool for coming together around a powerful demand. This is the first one. The second one I'm thinking of is, the fact of identifying in maybe one place and identifying and translating all the support that has been claimed throughout the world by the academic community. So in France, for instance, we have there has been petitions asking for directed at the presidents of the deans of universities, asking for an official letter of support against crackdowns in universities, and we can maybe translate all those support letters and videos and identify them in one specific place. That will be a resource, I think, that is important, because for instance, sociological studies on the apartheid, on the struggle against apartheid in South Africa, have shown how the support of international support and the demonstration of this international support, the expression of international support, can be a real trigger for motivation and a real fuel for lifting up the spirit, nurturing the people who are resisting. So I think this is very important. And the third point I would like to raise is a point that is actually in the kind of launching statement of the Faculty for Women, Life, Freedom. That is, I'm reading here for the statement that is on the website that I put the reference in the discussion. As academics from various countries and continents, we pledge our utmost to prevent the state institutions of the Islamic Republic and representatives thereof from having any presence in global higher education. And this is a very important point, because they have presence in the higher education, be it physically or virtually. Which means ongoing cooperation with institutions of the state comprising its executive, legislative, and judicial branches, security, military, and intelligence apparatuses, as well as state officials who hold office in any of the aforementioned institutions. So we shall use our academic influence and capacities to create an international network to support Iranian protesters and dissidents, including students and academics who have come to harm or face intimidation and threats at the hands of the Islamic Republic. So there is one point that is important, is to be really networking and raising awareness against the fact that academia is not, and social science specifically, is not a neutral space of expertise, but it is a space also, knowledge production is also a space of power and power relations, and we should be very clear in how we can fight collectively against the presence of certain discourses that have been present, throughout these 40 last years, and that legitimize, normalize, justify state violence in Iran. So I think this is something that also we should discuss. How do you address that?
All right. Thank you, Shura. I guess we have a list which is growing up, and this is very, very positive. so we will, of course, follow up this event. One of the next events which should happen on the day of the Iranian Student Day on 7th of December can be presented briefly by Nilufar, if possible.
Thank you so much for all the great messages, and again to the organizers. So, and as you know, the Student Day in Iran is different. It's on Tuesday al-Azhar, which is December 7th. And Shahzad gave a brief history of that day, so I won't go through that again, but we're trying to organize a few kind of like events in universities, but also whomever wants to participate, you can send us short videos of support. We're gonna create an Instagram and a few pages to post them on, and you can send it to the following email universitiesforiran@gmail.com. So there's no space, anything, it's just universities. So there's an S for Iran@gmail.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear Nilufar. All right, so we will stay tuned on that, of course. And as was one of the goals of this meeting, well, this is just a start on our side. We are lagging behind Iranian students, academics in Iran by 2 months. So we shall hurry up and try to do as best as we can. We will give, of course, we will distribute the links, the relevant link for this meeting, but the other ones which have been discussed here, for all the people who have signed in and have participated or not. Many people could not participate today because of professional duties or else, but the material which has been recorded will be made available, so do not hesitate in disseminating it, as large as possible. And we will try to come back to you with a short list of the actions and the possible paths to realize some of them at least. One way of, are there any other things that the panel would like to say before we finish with a video clip, the last one? Maybe Shura?
Maybe we can gather 1 or 2 questions from the audience as well, or reactions to what has been said.
I see we have a warm thank you.
Yeah, there is Shokufe who's raising her hand, I think.
If you wish, I can make that person a panelist.
Yes, please go ahead.
Chukufe, you should now be able to unmute yourself.
Whoops, I guess Shokufe got disconnected. I don't see her in the...
No, the person got promoted to panelist now, so here we go.
Okay, it's in the column of panelists. Okay, so please go ahead.
Hi, thank you for this fantastic panel. It was informative, and it was great to see this with the Iranian student movement, among the solidarity coming from all the student movements around. I just have one point of caution. And that's because I come from the history of the student movement, high school student movement during the 1979. And I have my own bias. I was a high school student at that time. And I hear this again. I know this is about university students, but we didn't do that at that time 40 years ago. How the hierarchy among the high school, the university students, the value that the leftist movement and the value that radicals put on traditionally on university students, and creates a hierarchy among the revolutionaries. That's I'm pointing that here because I think it should be stopped. And it should be stopped with this revolution. It should be stopped with these movements, especially all the high school students, whereas Nika, Astra, the people, they are representative from the New Zealand, the lady talked about and brought her names. They were high school students who were killed. It's important not to give for no reason to give leadership to one group, calling that the university students always been the leaders. We don't need to do that. And in Iran right now, it shows that it's not actually, it hasn't been the university students as leaders. We have some more horizontal leadership. We have leadership coming from the grassroots. It's not a leadership. If we can also be careful about our language, because as you said, Arash, this is the first time that we're starting this, to have the university students in the diaspora coming and joining the university students or the revolution in Iran. It's good to have, or be careful about our language. The history of hierarchy within the revolutionary groups, we should be also aware of that. That was the point of caution I wanted to add to this magnificent panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Shekufe. This was so really important, actually, very, very important and timely reminder, but I'll give back the role of moderation to Arash.
Yes, thank you very much, Shekufe, as well. We have a question on the Q&A by Noah. What are the upcoming events that students in Europe can boycott to stand against the Iranian government? That is an excellent question. I guess, yeah, we have to think about it. The main issue that we are facing is that officials from the Iranian government come to the international institutions and they say the biggest lies ever you can hear is that, for example, Iranian regime is the guardian of human rights. I mean, this has been said by the ambassador of Iran to the United Nations during a recent interview. And in other councils or committees, this is also the case. And so we need to be loud when these officials are coming to Europe, to US, etc., to every continent, to go and say loud that they are lying. We have to not let them get away the way they try to do. This is the first idea I have. Of course, there might be others. Thank you for the question. Okay, any other?
I think someone else had raised their hand. Okay.
Not that I see. So if you may, we would like to say few words of conclusions. I would let Shora possibly to conclude. I would just, for my part, really thank once again a lot Sebastian from GSF, who has devoted a lot of time to us. As I said, all the ESU board members, all the other active people who have sent us messages all around the world. This is really important. And I want to thank, of course, our panelists with the insights, important ones that we have had today. And we will finish before the end. I invite Shora to probably say a few words, but let me already say that we will have a final clip which invites for action, future action, which is realized by the We Are Iranian Students initiative. That will be the final point. So I let Shora to conclude, and then we will have the clip, and we will get back to you through email. Please.
Thank you very much, Arash, and really thank you to the to our panelists and to the Global Student Forums and associates to have co-organized with us and put all this energy into making tangible this solidarity. I keep with me the words, the opening words by Shahzad, who said that solidarity is a practice that can be taught and that can develop and that we can work on. It's not something that is like spontaneous and that is already here, but something that you can teach and you can educate yourself through, and something I think through which both sides get nurtured and enriched. So this is this practice of solidarity that we are initiating or reactivating once more in favor of this feminist revolutionary movement that is coming from Iran. And I mean, we are also, I'm having, you know, very, very special thoughts for the movements against the kind of oppression that are linked to Iranian imperialism in Iraq in 2020-21, in Lebanon in 2019 and 20. So this is a regional also practice. There is the Kurdish resistance movement for 4 decades, more than 4 decades in Iran also, that is very vivid. So to help us practice our solidarity throughout the region, maybe one thing that we can do actually is keep you updated, keep all the people who have registered for, who have showed their interest in this webinar updated with the references and also the next steps that can be really taken very practically, concretely, and to have these kind of milestone events like Shunzai Azar, the 7th of December that is coming, and we know that the movement may last in the midterm. The life of many people, more than 40,000, 15,000 according to UN people arrested, their lives are really in danger, at risk. That penalty is not a joke in Iran. So we have to stay attuned, and the practice of solidarity is also a way to fight, you know, this kind of subjectivation through media that has teach us to give up into a fatigue. Some subjects are very fancy, and then, you know, we get tired because things don't move as fast as we wish. So let's educate ourselves against that as well, and stand in solidarity. And I give the floor back to you to maybe show the concluding video. Thank you very much for all attending and participating into this panel.
Thank you.